Hi guys, happy Thursday, one day after the summer solstice, and I'm hopping on to add few thoughts that came to me because actually yesterday I had my notes and just for a record, when I use notes I get completely distracted and most of my stuff is channeled, so then I'm like quickly trying to like, oh, where are my notes, like logical mind, and then I forget what I was trying to say. So anyway, so I decided let's just hop on again, and today we have the exact trine between Chiron and Mars. So Mars is trining Chiron because Chiron is the slower moving planet out of the two, even though actually Chiron is a asteroid, right? So anyway, so I don't know how long this video is going to be, whether it's going to make its way onto Instagram or YouTube. Knowing myself, it might have to be YouTube, but let's just see what comes out. So Chiron seemed to have a lot of activations recently, so it had sextile from Mercury yesterday. Today it's having trine from Mars, and then just over a week, actually exactly in 1 week, on June 29th, it's going to be trined by Venus. And all of these guys are in, Mercury being in air sign and Mars and Venus being fire signs. These are all masculine signs, so these are all like signs like, oh well, I'm gonna take action this time, which is not quite what we were talking about yesterday with this Cancerian energy, because Cancer is all about yin energy, so it's all about taking the information in and then processing them and feeling into them and see what's gonna happen, what's gonna come out. So actually this trine from, actually before before there even was a trine between Mars and Chiron, there was a trine to Chiron from Moon, because Moon still today is in a sign of Leo. And what I forgot to mention yesterday, that Moon, she is having a mutual reception with Sun, because Sun is in Cancer, which is the sign ruled by Moon, and Moon is in a sign of Leo, which is the sign ruled by Sun. So there is what we call mutual reception. Moon will move into the sign of Virgo tomorrow, because Moon only remains in one sign for 2.5 days. It moves very quickly. But today Moon was very active. She conjuncted Mars. Yesterday she conjuncted Venus. Today she conjuncted Mars. Then she made a trine to Chiron. She made a sextile to Mercury. She made a square to Uranus. Well, this might be still happening in the sky. And then Mars will trine Chiron. And why is Chiron so important? Why Chiron is popping up all the time? Well, because it's a collective wounding, as we talked about yesterday, and is the key, because if you flip Chiron 45 degrees, or actually it's 95 degrees, it will become a key. So Chiron is actually the key between our world of a form, so our three-dimensional reality, our matrix, and then the invisible worlds, because it orbits between Saturn and Uranus. So Saturn is the last visible planet, the planet visible to the naked eye. So that's why in traditional astrology they didn't mention Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, because it wasn't conscious to them. You know, like they weren't consciously aware about Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, because we need telescope or technology to detect these planets, because it's not and we are not able to see with the naked eye. So this Chiron guy, the wounded healer, he's actually the key. He's the connection between Saturn and Uranus. So for us to be able to transcend this three-dimensional reality and reach our subconscious and also these invisible realms, we have to resolve our Saturn. And now let's see what's going on with the Saturn. Saturn is in Pisces. So Saturn is doing a good work of dissolving a lot of things and ending a lot of old cycles that no longer serve us. And as I repeatedly keep mentioning, Saturn is once again the ruler of Pluto, and Pluto is our collective evolution. Well, personal and collective is our soul's desire for incarnation. It's our human collective path of evolution. Where are we heading? So Pluto is back into Capricorn, as we know. He's finishing up some work over there. There is still something we need to revisit and resolve in order to move into this sign of Aquarius. And Saturn is dissolving everything that no longer has a meaning, everything that doesn't serve us anymore, all these outdated patterns. And it's also allowing us to heal, to bring the old fractals of ourselves, which we have to reject, the fragmentation happening in our childhood, and also fragmentation of our soul throughout all these entire lifetimes, because again, we follow the thread. So we have we have Pluto square in the node, resolution being the south node. South node is in Scorpio, therefore ruled by Pluto and traditionally by Mars. And then Pluto is ruled by Saturn, so we go to Saturn, and Saturn is in Pisces. So it takes us back into the end of the line. You know, there is a dead end. So we need to literally resolve what is it that we need to let go of and shake off and integrate, heal, anything that needs to be done in order to move into this new cycle, because by 2026 all these big bosses of Uranus, Neptune, Pluto and Chiron himself will have moved signs. They will be in a brand new sign, so there will be a huge shift for the collective consciousness and for us individually as well. So this key, this Chiron being in Aries, is already kind of showing us that this is the direction where we head in, which is this completely new cycle of being, of existing on this planet, which is in alignment with our purpose, because Chiron is in Aries. Aries is the new beginning, is this baby energy which wants to instinctively follow its desire and purposes. And right now is being ruled by Mars, and Mars today is trining Chiron from the sign of Leo. And Aries and Leo in natural zodiac, they have natural trine, because Aries is this baby, innocent baby that just wants to have this life of happiness and follow his joy and purpose. And that's why today we have very important aspect, because this Mars in Leo has been showing us, because Mars, like if you imagine what Mars looks like, is this like, you know, this circle with the arrow sticking from it. So it's like kind of like on a compass, you have this dial that is showing you the direction in which to go. So that for me is Mars, because Mars, as we know, is how Pluto, which and Pluto is our unconscious mind, how Pluto is manifesting consciously. So just look what Mars is doing, and Mars has been going through the sign of Leo, telling us that there is for each and everyone a purpose to follow. And now Mars is trining Chiron, that is ruled by Mars, and Chiron is the key. So Chiron is saying, well, there is this new direction we're heading into, and the way we're gonna get there is that we have to listen to our inner child, because our inner child, as I said in my long video yesterday, is our connection to our higher self, because inner child doesn't need to have all these logical explanation and the whys, just as I was saying yesterday, how we distinguish the difference between our ego mind and our intuition. The intuition doesn't need to give us the reason why, there doesn't need to be explanation why we feel the way we feel, we just feel that way and that's it. And now Mars going through the sign of Leo is the same thing. Like, how do we feel? What makes us feel happy? If you ask a little 3-year-old, like, hey, what do you enjoy? They give you an immediate answer, or you give them an option. Do you like this or do you like that? Like, my nephew is 3 years old, and I ask him, which way do you want to go? This way or that way? And he show, oh, let's go this way. You know, they don't even have to think about it. They know straight away, because they guided by something other than than ego, mind, and a previous experience, because they're little. So this is what Aries is. The only guidance is the intuition, because there is no previous experience in like this incarnation. So now Chiron being in the sign of Aries is telling us there is this brand new cycle ahead of us, and we're not going to resolve it by trying to think logically and saying like, oh yeah, previous experience, this is how it was, because we enter in the age of Aquarius, Pluto coming into the sign of Aquarius, that is ruled by Uranus. Uranus is still in the sign of Taurus, but it will move into the sign of Gemini in 2026, which will be again this acceleration in the way we think and communicate, and how we perceive reality, how we distinguish the 3D from 5D, and God knows how many Ds by then. We will be completely like our thinking process will be completely accelerated. It will be revamped completely. So we need to resolve these past patterns that are holding us back and are mostly subconscious, because we need to create the space. We cannot allow our programming to control us coming into the future. And that's why this Mars, that is a ruler of Chiron, so it's supporting us to understand the key. What is the key? Well, the key is our inner child. What is your inner child telling you? It doesn't matter how old you are. Even if you're 80 years old, you still have an inner child very active in you. And how you know that is if you don't follow what you feel is the right thing for you, and we continuously do things that, like, oh, the work has to be done, this has to be done, oh, I have to do this, I have to do that. And then you just feel depressed and you feel like, I don't want to do anything, because the inner child is kicking a fuss and saying like, hey, what about me? When are we going to play? And I can tell about this from my personal experience, because I feel so tired, like it's a lot of work and I feel like I want to go and play. But now Leo season is actually squaring my sun in Taurus, so I know that this is what needs to happen right now. This is the time for discipline, and then the Virgo season will come, and then sun will trine my natal sun, and then I know that it will be a completely different energy for me. But again, going back to this energy which I'm wanting to express with this trine to Chiron, and then subsequently Venus will be trining Chiron in 1 week time, which is about realizing what are your needs. And yes, sometimes you need to be a little bit selfish, because if we don't take care of our needs, and each and every one of us individually, who's gonna do it for you? Like, we cannot expect someone else to do it. And this is another thing that I kind of didn't mention yesterday in my long video about solstice. Well, first of all, solstice represents the Cancer season, the beginning of the summer, which means that this is a beginning. This is like a beginning of the remainder of the year, because Cancer is a cardinal sign. Even though Cancer is one of those that is a little bit afraid to move forward, that's why it goes sidestepping. It doesn't go straight way ahead like Mars does, like Aries does, like, oh, let's just move forward, like full stream ahead, all this fire. Whereas Cancer is like, okay, well, let me feel into it, and it's like sidestepping. It's not going full steam ahead, but it's like, let me think, let me feel into that, right? So this is a fresh start of the remainder of the year, like a new beginning that marks the rest of the year. But we are not moving straight ahead, which is also what I was saying with regards to this new moon and with regards to the energies collectively currently. This is not the time where we like have everything figured out, like, oh, I know exactly what to do and which direction to go, and let's just go for it. This is more like an intuitive kind of process, where we tapping into our emotions, we tapping into this intuition and this inner knowing, which we don't have an answer for. Like, okay, what is this? Why do I feel this way? Okay, well, and then we retrieve, because Cancer is like 3 steps forwards, 2 steps back, or something like that, right? Like you little bit going ahead, but you still have to go backwards. And this is exactly the energy of this Saturn in Pisces, like, hey, not so fast, there is still stuff we need to resolve here. And this thing that I was heading with this is actually with the Cancer and Capricorn. We have, this Cancer emotional safety and security, the needs for feeling safe and secure and feel at home. And then in opposition is this Capricorn, which is actually telling us, in order for you to feel that way, you need to take responsibility for your life. And this is actually the main message, which I completely blanked out yesterday. Even it was the number 1 note on my list, and I didn't see it. But there is a divine reason, divine timing for everything. Is the free will. The free will, and this Mars is actually telling us you always have the free will, because you can always start anew. You can always start fresh. And now we start in a new season. We had summer solstice yesterday, Cancer season, which, okay, we might not know exactly. We don't have the full process, every single step towards our destination. We might not even know what is the exact destination, but we start in something new. The seeding has been planted, during this new moon in Gemini. The new moon happened just before solstice. There is no coincidence that this happened this way. And this is saying, okay, well, I'm shifting the way I think, and I'm actually taking responsibility. Because what this Pisces also represents, and this is again something that I am coming across in my reading, is this need to shake off this victimhood mentality, because there is so much of it present in our society right now. And I'm a victim. I'm guilty of that as well. Sometimes I have that where I just feel sorry for myself and like, oh, why is this happening to me and my life sucks? But we have to take responsibility, because also Capricorn, aka Saturn, is in sextile with Pisces, with Neptune. So actually Saturn currently being in Pisces is a supporting aspect. It's like represents this sextile energy. And Saturn is in a closing phase with Neptune, the ruler of Pisces. So this is again saying us, in order for you to close the old cycles, the old doors that no longer serve you, that you just don't want to be part of anymore, we have to take responsibility. And this is what it's all about. You will never, ever feel safe if you don't feel in control of your life. And that's what Saturn actually represents, our authority. It's our emotional security, Cancer, and Saturn is I am the authority of my life. I take responsibility. And this is again where I mentioned the free will aspect. We always have a choice. This is also the Gemini, the ever-present Gemini energy that has been so supportive to Pluto and supporting us on our evolutionary path, is the aspect of free will, and you always have a choice. And I know people might disagree, they might get triggered. I would get triggered like, oh no, you don't understand, you don't know my situation, and I do not have a choice. You know, this is how it is. But that is not true, because there is always a choice. The other side of the choice might not be comfortable. It might make us feel like we are a horrible person, and you know, we feel guilty and ashamed if we take this choice. Like, you know, with this Leo, I'm being selfish, I'm being narcissistic. You know, if I think about what I want, what about my other people? And I can even say from my personal experience with my ex-boyfriend, when he decided to go his own way in life, and you know, like, there were children involved, and you know, this is exactly what everybody is looking at, you know, and they're thinking, oh, he's so selfish, you know, like he just think about himself. But sometimes there's no other way. And there is a karma involved, and we, you know, there is right and wrong, and there is no right and wrong. You know, sometimes we just have to do what is the right thing for us, even though, you know, it might have negative consequences, because if you don't, it will still have negative consequences. Because at the end of the day, we need what we need. We all have a certain path to follow, which might not always be supported and perceived by the society as, oh, well, this is not the right thing. But again, what is the right thing? And again, you always have a free will, and you have free will to choose. And this is why we were incarnated on this planet of polarity and duality, again, Gemini, and we have the free will of choice, which is aspect of that. And, you know, like, we can always choose. Just like now, we have a Cancer season. We had summer solstice yesterday, beginning of summer, winter in the southern hemisphere, and we have a choice. How do we want to spend the remainder of this year? Do we want to spend it the same way, or do we want to change something? And there is no right and wrong. There is really no right and wrong, because every choice that we take will lead to something which is a learning process. It's a lesson, because at the end of the day, when we go back to spirit world, it is all about these, you know, experiences that we had here. And there is no right and wrong, because at the end of it, we're all gonna end up in the same place, and we all gonna come to the point of, oh, I know everything now, I understand everything. You know, we all been there, we came from there, even though this might be not everybody's perception of reality and truth. Well, this is my truth, so I am just sharing how I perceive my experience as being, you know, in human form. And it's okay if you don't agree, it's perfectly fine, because we all have our own cosmology. And as I said, you know, truth is Sagittarius, it's mutable sign, it's flexible, it can change all the time. So the core of this is that when we all go back, because, you know, like my parents say, well, nobody came back from there, how do you know what's gonna happen? Well, listen to the people with near-death experience, they pretty much saying the same story, more or less. So we kind of have a rough idea what's gonna happen when we go over. And when we go to spirit form, we know everything, because we connected to the source. We still connected to the source here, but we have our ego that is making us insecure. That is like, well, you know, where is the logical explanation? There is no previous experience. How can you be sure this is the truth? You know, the intuition. How can you trust it, right? And this is the difference. Like, when we in spirit form, we cannot have the experience. We just know. Well, here, we don't know always, but we have the experience. So, you know, this is how we gain the knowing, you know, the discernment, the Virgo. When Sun will go into Virgo in, end of August, that's when we will, you know, well, we will have opportunity to discern. Like, okay, now, do I know or do I not know? So anyway, now I'm going again, lost in a, you know, different direction, but coming back to Chiron, okay? Because we're talking about Chiron here. Let's give Chiron some, some status, because Chiron always gets overlooked, because he's the wounded healer. You know, it doesn't even come naturally on my calendar. I have to go and search, like, what is Chiron doing actually? Because they don't consider it as a, you know, planet. So aspects to Chiron are not, you know, put forward. So anyway, let's make Chiron shine, because actually Chiron is very important, because it's the key. Chiron is the key. So Uranus, you know, which is our freedom, our liberation, is in Taurus, you know, and the North Node has been the Uranus conjuncted the North Node. So what is it telling us? North Node, the evolutionary potential of the collective, and each and every single one of us. Well, we need to free ourselves. We have to become self-reliant, we have to feel that we actually can trust oneself. That's why Sun is now in Cancer, because actually between Taurus and Cancer there is a sextile, is a supportive aspect. So Sun actually will have a sextile, I believe, tomorrow with North Node. Sun in Cancer, a sextile in North Node, because North Node is just about to move into Aries next month. So it will, South Node, move into Libra. So again, what is this all telling us? Well, this all telling us is that, well, we have to use this Gemini archetype. There is always a choice. There is always a different truth. There are always these polarities and dualities. We don't know what kind of dimension other person is living in, because, we all create our own realities. So what other person is going through, they are experiencing their own reality, which could be completely different to yours. But it doesn't mean that their one doesn't exist, or it's right or wrong or anything. And in order to distinguish what is it for you, again, going back to the same thing, Taurus, you need to know yourself. Cancer, you need to trust yourself. Leo, you need to feel into what your inner child wants. What is your path of destiny, right? And and then with Virgo, we move into the society. We move on to the opposite side, into the northern hemisphere of the zodiac, which is where the other people come into play, right? But now we're still in that lower half, the southern hemisphere of the zodiac, where it's all about you, and the North Node is in Taurus, so it's all about you anyway. And it will become even more about you when it moves into Aries, because Aries is the beginning and it's the child. So, like you say, well, children, they are the center of their world. They think everything rotates around them, and it does. So this is pretty much where we are at collectively, because we're seeking this new way. And in order to create a new way, we need to become someone different. Well, someone new, a new version of the outdated self, which has been conditioned by the past. And the past is past, we learn from it, but it doesn't mean we want to recreate the future that will copy the past, right? And when we look around ourselves, the world, with all the wars and all the destruction, how much did we really learn? We still repeating the past patterns. Nothing has changed. Nothing, like very little. Yes, we can say that, oh yeah, we evolved, we have better technology, all this, we more evolved than ever been. Well, look at the state of the world. I disagree. Personally, just my opinion. If we evolved so much, why would we still have this destruction and wars and all this division and all that stuff going on? It's exactly how it's been for centuries, for decades, for millennia, really, if we really want to go right back to, to origins and stuff. So anyway, I again keep going into all these different rabbit holes, but what I really wanted to touch up on was the fact of a new beginning, the matter of free will, because free will is very important, the aspect of taking responsibility, because we have a free will, we always have a choice, but we need to take responsibility. And yes, that involves emotional maturity, Capricorn. Emotional maturity for taking responsibility, and that is the only way we will ever feel safe and secure. Because if you take responsibility for yourself, then you are relying on yourself, and therefore you are not externalizing your power. And with everything showing us that Aries, Gemini, and all these guys are the way forward, the Mars representation of Aries being in Leo, again, the bottom of the zodiac, the southern hemisphere, which is all about you. This is again telling us, that you need to trust yourself, because you create your reality. So we have to take a responsibility for that, because look at the world around us. We created it. It's not an accident. It's not like, oh, they did that. Who is they? It's us. We create the collective. We are all part of the they. So, we have to take responsibility. We screwed it up, so we have to fix it. But how are we gonna fix it? We have to start from oneself. We need to heal ourselves. Fix is Virgo. Healing is Virgo and Pisces. It's about, okay, it is, we have to acknowledge this is where we are at. It's our responsibility. We created this. Everything that's happening externally comes from the internal. It's just a reflection. Therefore, we have to take responsibility. I have to take responsibility for my life. I've created my life. It's not an accident that my life is the way it is. And the more that we actually take the responsibility, the more we feel in power and in control, because we say, okay, well, I know that I created what I have right now. I have the power to create something different if I choose to do so. And this is what this new Cancer season, the beginning of the rest of the year, is offering us. You can create anything you want, but you have to believe. This is another thing which I keep saying to my client. You have to believe. You have to believe, because whatever you believe, it creates your reality. Your perception of reality, it determines what is the reality you're observing, right? Because of the Sagittarius, because of the Jupiter. Jupiter is in Taurus. You have to believe in yourself. That's where it all starts. We have to believe in ourselves, and we have to believe that we can create whatever we want. Because if you don't believe, you're not gonna do it. You're not gonna create it. It's all about belief. And if, like they say, if you don't, you fake it till you make it, So this is what I do. I just listen to my affirmation before I go to sleep, because when I listen to them consciously, my subconscious operating system, the software I was installed when I was a child, goes, this is nonsense. No, like, I'm rich, I'm healthy, I'm this, I'm that. And, my subconscious mind goes, this is not true, this is not true, this is not true. So let's listen to affirmations and meditation just when you're falling asleep, because your subconscious mind is recording that. And that's what we need to reprogram, right? So, and again, guys, oh my God, I could go forever. There are just so many different rabbit holes and direction to go into. But as I said, it's all about this matter of choice, free will, responsibility, because, in order to have a free will, you have to take the responsibility and also give yourself permission to do so. And you have to believe that you can do that. So, yeah, so these are all the kind of key points of this season that we are entering into. And yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting, let's just say, with everything that's going on in the sky, and Uranus, still being in the Taurus, and it will still be in a Taurus when it will become the ruler of Pluto next year. And all these energies we are experiencing and tapping into and will be experiencing, because they're coming forward. There are all these new portals opening and new things streaming into our consciousness. So let's just believe we can. Let's just take the responsibility. Let's acknowledge our free will choice and make the choice that we feel is the best for now. And that can always change, right? You're not stuck with your choice for life. You have the free will to change it at any point. At any point, just give yourself the permission and believe that you can. Because whether you believe you can or you can't, either way you're right, yeah? Wasn't it Voltaire who said that, clever guy? So yeah, so whether you believe you can or you can't, either way you're right. So you better believe you can, because why would you not believe? Why would you believe that you can't? So anyway, guys, I'll leave you at that. Have a great day today. What is it today? Thursday. So yeah, weekend coming up. It's a beautiful sunny day here in Bansko, Bulgaria. And yeah, I hope everybody is doing well. Enjoy this harmonious energy of today. And I'll speak to you soon. Much love. Bye.